I'm Matt Champkin from ProTax, here to talk to you today about opportunities for those of you who are either just getting through the other side of your CTA exams, or possibly you've been qualified for a year or two. And I want to talk specifically to those of you in corporate and business tax who are thinking about whether or not you need to specialize, especially if the next stage of your career is to move into a top 10 or Big 4 firm, or at this point, or ultimately to move in-house into a tax team in industry and commerce or financial services. Do you need to begin to specialize? Specialize in deals and M&A tax, specialize in transfer pricing and international tax, specialize in tax technology and systems. Now, the answer depends, of course, on what you're doing at the moment, but if I'm addressing somebody in a top 10 or top 20 firm looking to make that next step up, the answer might surprise you. In fact, you're already specialized in an area which the Big 4 in particular, and top 10 to a lesser extent, do not have within their own cohort and trainees and people who've come through the ranks with them. And that specialism is compliance. So corporate tax compliance for most of the last 30 or 40 years has been seen as the thing you do before you move on to specialize. You do your 2-3 years of time doing tax returns and compliance, learning the ropes, and then you move into something more, in inverted commas, interesting, advisory, structuring, deals, whatever it might happen to be. The simple fact is now what clients want is compliance and risk advisory work. And the Big 4 and the top 10 firms are struggling somewhat because they've asked their people to be specialized in areas such as advisory or deals. And what the clients are asking for is expertise around compliance and reporting and indirect tax compliance. And this is a skill that you have within the top 10 and top 20, which therefore is in high demand from the larger firms. Now, they're investing very heavily in technology. AI, of course, is the buzzword, but just generally, tax systems, tax consulting is focused very much on those ERP systems and the tax engines and tax software that's being used. So why would you move, if you're already doing this, into a Big 4 or top 10 to do it? Because they've got the money, they've got the investment, and they've got the international clients to make the job more appealing and broader. The work that you would be doing would be very technology, data focused to a certain extent, but you'd be sitting down with the CFO, the head of tax, the CEO of large companies, and helping them to work on their strategy, on their tax planning, because none of that is possible without comfort and confidence about the numbers, about the compliance, about the tax return that they submit as a multinational or UK privately owned business to HMRC or tax authorities around the world. So everything comes from compliance. And what used to be, oh, we'll just let the juniors do that and we'll do the more interesting work, it's almost flipped. It's seen by my main client, PwC, as annuity work, which is always great for planning, but also their biggest growth area globally is tax compliance. Now, it's not just corporate tax compliance. You would be in a team which is integrated compliance, so global mobility, indirect tax, international tax, whatever you want to talk about, transfer pricing from a compliance perspective. It's all there, but corporate tax is where you would find your way into that. And therefore, the key really is that the Big 4 would love to talk to people who have got this experience, possibly were worried that they couldn't keep doing this type of work because they felt it wasn't seen as interesting enough or exciting enough, but actually deep down you really like this type of work. Well, now it's your time to shine, because it's the rise of the accountants. Clients want to know that the numbers are right. Then they can worry about all the other things about the future. But what's on the top of a head of tax's agenda right now? It's pillar 2, it's risk, it's aggressive tax authorities, it's, are my numbers right? Is the data accurate? Are my systems accurate? The answer is probably not, and therefore you need help. All of this comes under the umbrella of compliance. A lot of the work that's done around M&A and deals, when that market starts to pick up again, is actually compliance. Post-deal, pre-deal, everything comes down to the authenticity and the accuracy of the numbers. So, as a tax compliance specialist, building your way up through the top 20, a top 30, a top 40 firm, You don't need to change anything about what you're doing to be of great appeal and value to a top 10 firm or a Big 4 firm. You don't need to worry that you're doing work with smaller privately owned businesses and therefore there wouldn't be any opportunity for you to work with international companies and PLCs. They can train you on that side of things, the scale, the additional technology that you've got to interrogate and interpret. But the fundamental skills that you have, those big firms haven't trained their people in the UK how to acquire because they've been using managed services offshore in particular, and therefore they have a skills gap. You have the talent. When you've got that qualification, or if you already have it, come and talk to us, because what you thought may have been a building block and you needed to really go off on a tangent in order to attract attention from those firms or from a head of tax hiring in an industry role, actually what they want to talk to you about is exactly what you're doing at the moment. So come and talk to us at ProTax. We've got lots of opportunities in this space. Tax compliance isn't what it used to be. It's a very complex, sexy part of tax now, and you're already doing the right sort of things. So let's just make you do it in a bigger, better firm with more opportunities.